Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Bad Toy Reviews. As you see in front of you here, today we're going to be looking at the new Masters of the Universe line from Mattel. These are available at Walmart stores. This is actually the first of a two-part video that will be released. Once you watch this one, the second part should already be up. But in this video, we're going to look at He-Man, Teela, and Man-at-Arms. So let's take a quick look at the packaging here. We'll use He-Man. It's very reminiscent of the packaging from the original Masters of the Universe line from back in the day. And you'll see here there's updated articulation, modern posing with retro play. So we have He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. You see his things there in the back of him. And on the back, you have the other figures in the series. I wonder what the second part of this video is going to be about. And there we have the very cool He-Man art. And here it talks about modernizing and celebrating the 80s Masters of the Universe. We won't get into all that, but there's the art on the He-Man box. Here is the Man-at-Arms art. And lastly, Tila. So let's go ahead and get these open and take a look. All right, and we're back, and here are the first three figures we're going to look at out of the package. All six of these figures actually came with this comic book. It's the exact same for all of the figures. So there's that. On the back, shows all the figures there. So let's take a look at these. First up will be Teela. And let's get her off the stand here. When they said modern articulation, they were not kidding. She is articulated at the head, which is kind of lost due to this headdress she's wearing. The shoulder moves up to here, move all the way around, and it has a socketed elbow joint, much like the Black Series figure, and there is a pivot there at the wrist, and the wrist also rotates. So it's the same for that. The leg will come up, a full split, a socketed knee there, which looks a little odd. There is a swivel here at the calf, and the regular old peg in the foot, Marvel Legends style articulated ankle. But these are about 5.5 inch figures. You'll see here she does have her snake staff there and her shield. The gauntlet there is painted. The paint on this figure is pretty good. Closer look at the face, and we'll pop this armor off so you can see the head without the armor on it. And around to the back there where the armor does attach. It is removable. Put that back on. But yeah, a very, very neat update. A novel idea from Mattel to take their old figures and keep the same style but update the articulation. Very cool. I was pleasantly surprised to see that these stands that I 3D print actually fit the peg hole there in the foot. So a standard 3mm peg hole. And we'll put Teela back and take a look at Man-at-Arms. There's his face. The helmet is sculpted on. The green body there, which is just the same as the He-Man body. So Mattel is sticking with the mold reuse. Pop the stand off of this guy. The articulation is very similar. The arm comes up. It'll swivel all the way around. He's got the jointed elbow there, but he gets barely more than 90 degrees due to the massive biceps. The wrist, of course, swivels and hinges just as the Teela figure did. Let me just move these out of the way so the camera isn't wanting to focus on those in the back. Okay. So here's Man-at-Arms. The chest armor here connects in the back like the old school did. The armor on the left arm is connected with these straps. And the boot armor, same thing. It's got a strap on it. You see it there. He comes with his mace. And, got the calf articulation and the foot. Like, the articulation on all the figures is essentially the same, no matter how large they are. But, yeah, there's Man-at-Arms. At first I wasn't too interested. He-Man is one of those things for me that's sort of like Pandora's box. I had He-Man toys growing up as a kid, because I did grow up in the 80s. But I felt like if I got into He-Man toys again, like when they were doing the Four Horsemen line, that I would just, they'd become my Pokemon, where I'd have to have them all. And at that point, that was a little untenable for me, because I wasn't financially in a place where I could just do that. But now things are better, and those figures are far too expensive to track down, so after a little questioning of myself, I decided to go ahead and bite the bullet and get them. But here is our title character, He-Man. I'm not a huge fan of this face sculpt. I don't know, maybe it's too angular. I don't know. I'm just not into it. But the Muscle Man of Glory, he's got the same problem Man-at-Arms does, whereas he gets about 90 degrees on that elbow due to the huge muscles. As soon as I saw the WWE figures, I'm not a big wrestling guy. I don't really watch wrestling. I'm a Matt Cardona fan. So if Matt, you see this, hit me up. But I'm not a huge wrestling guy. I got back into it recently a little bit because one of my kids got into it a little bit. But there's the back. The closure here is different. Back in the day, the He-Man armor clasped here like this. It wasn't like this, but the way the armor clasps, it just pops off like that, and you can pull his armor off if you want to. So let's get that cinched back down. There we go. And of course he has his holster there, or scabbard, or I don't know what you call it, for the power sword. And like the toy when I was a kid, and I even hated it as a kid, I hate it now, it is half a sword. The other half of the sword is with Skeletor. So we will stick the half of the sword in there. I do plan on 3D printing him a complete power sword, and I'm planning a 3D printed accessories video here. So maybe once the power sword is completed, I'll go ahead and make that video. And, I'll feature the stands in the video as well. But he comes with his power sword, his shield, which I'm very impressed with. It's a very cool piece. It's painted really well. It's the plastic they use really looks nice. And, of course, his battle axe. So there is the battle axe. So we will sit all three figures here. Uh-oh. We'll let He-Man hold his sword, or his half of a sword. And this is why I didn't like it as a kid. Like, I'm not going to have him hold it by the little knuckle duster part there. I'd want him to hold his sword, and, it just, I don't know, it just always looked weird to me as a kid. I never liked it. I do like the detail on the sword is cool, but I never liked this, and I never liked that it was half a sword. But there's He-Man. We'll give him his shield back. The shield, he sticks his hand in it, and it just will clasp right onto his forearm there so that he can deflect blows from Skeletor and his henchmen. See, his sword fell out because there's only half a handle. What are we doing, Mattel? Give us a full sword. Yeah. I'm about to give up. Oh, there it is. And we'll just throw his battle axe in his little scabbard there. There we go. So He-Man has his sword, and there's Man-at-Arms with his mace, and Teela with her Cobra staff. I'm not sure if we looked at Teela's shield there, but there's Teela's shield. Different than He-Man shielding that she holds onto it. And this piece for the handle here is actually a soft rubber. So getting the handle into her hand did take a little doing, but there it is. She's got her sword, or her spiked shield, and her cobra staff with her cobra headdress. So there they are, the 3 heroic figures in the first wave of the new He-Man figures. I didn't expect to like them as much as I do, but nonetheless, oh, I almost forgot. So, also, Mattel released a line of blind box figures, and I bought some of those, but the only one we're going to look at here is the He-Man. So here's the He-Man blind box figure. The sword is removable there, and each figure comes with its very own Castle Grayskull. So that's pretty cool. And Castle Grayskull also doubles as a carrying case, or at least a storage case. So you can put He-Man in there with his sword of power, close him up, and just let him hang out inside Castle Grayskull. You will see there are 2 pegs here on the top, which, you guessed it, are so you can display them. So pretty cool. Would have made more sense, I think, because you can't fit 2 figures on here. So it would have made a little more sense to put the peg somewhere where, you know, both of them could be utilized, and maybe he could be standing in the middle of Castle Grayskull. But I don't work at Mattel. Mattel, if you want to change that, hit me up. I'll change careers. But there is the He-Man blind box figure. Maybe I'll do a video soon where I show the other ones I got. I'm still on the lookout for Skeletor. I did get 2 He-Man, so if you have an extra Skeletor and need a He-Man, hit me up. Here's the original He-Man figure that I had. It is in ridiculously good condition. My parents were divorced. See, there's the clasp there, like the Man-at-Arms one. My parents were divorced, and we would go to my dad's we'd go to my grandparents for the weekends. My dad didn't live here, and my dad would come down, and I left this once when we went home, and my dad took it home with him and kept it, and then returned it to me about 15 years later. So he is in very, very good condition to be as old as he is, over 35 years old. Got a little bit of wear there, but on the whole, pretty good. Check that stamp out. 1981. What? Made in China. So there's new He-Man next to old He-Man. This guy does not stand up well, so we're not going to get him to stand. But just a quick comparison there. I will say new He-Man is not nearly as rough looking as old He-Man. Plus, you know, he does stand up, which is something old He-Man I don't think has it in him to accomplish. Oh, I forgot to mention there is a waist swivel here. He no longer has this motion. See, look at it. Spring still works, I tell you. But there they are, new He-Man and Man-at-Arms and Tila. So I appreciate you guys checking this video out. Be sure to go check out part 2, which should be uploaded around the same time. And thanks for watching.